And this is another piece of reference. Like I say, we're always searching for ideas, visual reference for how we're going to create the maze. And I just came across this picture and I thought it was really creepy. So one of the big challenges in this maze is that El Cucuy kidnaps children. And by law, I can't hire children to work Halloween Horror Nights. So we had to come up with some way, even though we have a lot of short-statured actors, they're all going to look like they're in their early 20s. So we came up with this idea that as part of El Cucuy's ritual, he's got a bit of a pumpkin fetish. He really, really likes pumpkins. So he places pumpkins over the kids' heads when he takes them into their jail. And you probably saw a couple static figures in there tonight. And that's to conceal their screams. So we took that idea and rolled it out to our victims. So this is one of them. And this is the other. And then this particular one, you saw part of him possibly laying on the table there. We thought it would be really cool if he had cut when we were conceiving this particular attraction, we thought it would be really cool to set it in a movie theater. So you're going to see this movie called El Cucuy, the Boogeyman. This is a piece of reference we pulled that we based our theater on. And this is a picture of it right after we finished it, just before the opening of Halloween Horror Nights. Now, it's playing a movie called El Cucuy, the Boogeyman. How many of you guys have ever heard of luchador films? Anybody? Okay, quite a few of you. This is another weird thing I came across in my research. There was kind of a golden age of horror in Mexico. And they kind of took what Universal created in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. I'm talking about our classic monster characters. And then they added a very strange twist. They made movies like that, kind of brought those characters back. But they threw in a Mexican wrestler. And these films were wildly popular, and as I started, and you can YouTube this, so you have to go check out, if you just search the name Santo, does anybody know who Santo is? He was like the king of these movies, and he was always fighting Frankenstein, or mummies, or Dracula, or sometimes all of them together, but we thought it would be really fun to kind of riff off of that idea, and have the movie that you guys are going to when you come into the maze be a luchador film from like the 60s or 70s, and it happens to be called El Cucuy, the Boogeyman. Now in these films, this is another weird picture I came across. These guys, when they were dressed up as wrestlers, they liked to wear leisure suits, because it was the 1970s. So in the film, when you go through the maze tonight, you'll see an actor dressed up like one of these guys. There was always the monsters, they always brought them back to life, but there was always like the random guy who was the doctor or the scientist. So that's my cameo in this maze. When you go through, if you see a guy in a really bad wig, that's Dr. Albondigas. And then here's the movie theater. This is a view you don't normally get because you're coming from behind, but every one of them have their faces ripped off. And then you'll notice wanted posters. Did you guys see those in there? I'll give you a little inside information. Because everything we use, we have to legally run it through our legal department and get everything cleared. So we needed all these pictures of kids. Those are actually all of our crew members on our props crew when they were like in elementary school. So they all brought in their pictures, and that's what became our missing children posters. Then I came across this picture and it just kind of creeped me out. Something about weird-looking piñatas. So when you go through the birthday scene, this particular house was the exact influence for the house in the birthday party scene. And then this is kind of what it ended up looking like. One detail, I don't know if you guys caught it when you went through, but if you didn't, when you're going through the maze, pay attention to the pin the tail on the donkey game up in there in the corner. Did you guys see that? Yeah. There's some really messed up stuff pinned to that particular poster. Little kids' ears, fingers, toes. It's the work of our props and dressing crew. Another inside joke inside El Cucuy, you see there's posters in the room. That is our luchador movie, so we actually, ourselves posed for movie stills that exist for a movie that was never made. And you'll see a bunch of banners for Polka Racing. That's actually one of the guys on our crew. He's into racing and does dune bug racing, so that's actually the name of his racing team. This is another picture I came across that I thought was like the quintessential boogeyman picture. It's the monster hiding under a little kid's bed. So we took that and translated it into a special effect. First we had to design it, so actually how that scene works, there's a guy behind the wall, and he's got a screen, and he's got a monitor, and there's a camera on you guys. You can't see him, but he can see you, and he's pushing a rig out, and these giant hands come out from underneath the bed. And that's what they look like when we're in the show. And then we knew that we needed to get to El Cucuy's lair up in the mountains, so this was the inspiration for what that lair would look like. But in doing research, we came across something else that was really bizarre and messed up, and it exists, and you can Google this. Look up the Island of Dolls, okay? This exists off the coast of Mexico. This guy lived on this island, and a little girl's body washed up on shore, and he became convinced that this little girl was haunting him. So he put up dolls all over this island. And 40 years passed, the guy eventually died, and all the dolls are still there, and his relatives inherited the island, and now they treat it as a tourist destination. You can actually go there. But we thought it was a really creepy idea, because part of El Cucuy for us, when he goes to kidnap kids, is that he takes souvenirs. So he takes little toys, he takes dolls, and we added that to the facade. So when you go to that facade, you'll see all these little dolls hanging off the front of it. Also, we have what we call El Cucuy's man cave, and this is his souvenir room. This is where he stole all these little toys from children and hung them up. Another piece of reference I came across that I just thought was really disturbing was blood and pumpkin guts. So we folded that into the maze, and you'll see that tonight when you're going through it. Not only did we make the victims of El Cucuy as if there were pumpkins over their heads, but if you look really closely at them, some of them have little tears, like they're crying, and they're made out of pumpkin seeds. It's these particular characters, they're right inside the maze. And this is our homage to blood and pumpkins. There's also the scent of pumpkins. We use smells, so we pump them into different rooms. Most of the time they're horrible things. Like if you go to Insidious tonight, there's a certain room and it's the scent of dead body, and it's awful. I actually test all those. I'm the guinea pig every year. We get a big FedEx box, but the thing smells even inside the package, so we have to take it out to the back lot, and we open up these little perfume-like sticks and go, rotting corpses. Oh, that's horrible, let's use it. But in El Cucuy, it's actually got the scent of pumpkins. And that's a little bit about how we created El Cucuy the Boogeyman. Now, I know you guys are all eager to get out to Halloween Horror Nights. I am going to be outside in the courtyard if anybody wants to come up, say hi, take a picture, whatever. I'm happy to talk to you guys and hang out. I also want to say thank you guys for being our annual pass holders. We really appreciate it. And, you know, as a kid who grew up making haunted houses in his parents' garage when I was 10 years old, I'm always incredibly overwhelmed and humbled by our fans, especially folks that have been coming to this event year after year. The people who create Halloween Horror Nights, they do it out of passion, and they do it for you guys. But I gotta say that without you guys, we wouldn't have Halloween Horror Nights. If you remember the history, Halloween Horror Nights went away for a number of years till Chris and I brought it back in 2006, and every year it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and this year is no exception. When you're at the park today, go out to that back lot, go out to New York Street. It's insane. We took over a whole section of the movie studio. That's where Walking Dead and Black Sabbath are. We're all over the place. The events got bigger and bigger, but that could only happen with your guys' support. So I'm going to do this for you. Thank you guys. We really, really appreciate it. I hope you had a good time touring El Cucuy tonight. And again, I'll be outside in the Animal Actors Courtyard. Come by and say hi. And I hope you guys enjoy Halloween Horror Nights. Thank you so much.
John Murdy, ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause.